To be honest, like from my side, I think it was a perfect session and the things I learned, right? But overall, like even moving times around, like if I have to adjusting to my, and customizing that schedule, that was the great thing I liked about it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sweta Regmi. I'm a career consultant in Canada. I teach do's and don'ts to job seekers. If you're a newcomer to Canada, also you are laid off, I can help you bounce back quite quickly. Now, today's sessions is red flags on those job descriptions. If you're watching me from other part of world, this session might benefit you as well. Please share, like, tell me where you're watching me from. Also, put the comments in there. I just want to make sure I'm sounding all right. Give me number one. Type it number one for me if I'm sounding all right, if you can hear me, so I can get right to the sessions today. I'm going to go over the red flags to watch out for when you're applying for the job posting, also during interviews as well. And these are all the informations I've gathered personally as a job seeker and a hiring manager as well, how I have used to take advantage of the situations I was in, all right? And now, if you have any questions, if you're hiring managers, if you're job seekers, if you have any questions, please put it in there. I will take that, and around like a little bit later, I'll be live more than 20 minutes. And you can also reach out to me directly, send me the questions directly on my DM as well if you're not comfortable. And I'll be hopefully taking your questions from there as well. All right, perfect. Number one, great. Thank you so much. I'm going to give shout out to people as well. All right. So for those of you, I don't know if the Facebook is streaming live because I started a little bit late. This has been streaming live on YouTube channel as well. Please go ahead and subscribe. I know that there's some lagging going on LinkedIn on a mobile app. If you're watching me, it's jumping around. Something's not working. I don't know if LinkedIn is acting up today, the live, but I definitely want you to go back on a YouTube channel. It's right there. You can go and watch from beginning. You can scroll as well, all right? Right there for you. And I'm streaming live on YouTube. I'm not sure if the Facebook Teaching You page live went in or not. All right, let's see here. I'm going to begin. And before I go, I wanted to let you know that there are a lot of free resources on our website as well. You can take a look into it under free resources. You can download the handbook for newcomers to Canada if you're landing soon, or if you've already landed. There are a lot of good information such as job posting, as per your the industry, and there are like so many things that I didn't even hear about it. We put it all together just for you. You can download it. It's all yours for free, all right? And there are other informations. How do you get recruiters reach out to you on a LinkedIn as well? There are a bunch of informations. I definitely would recommend you to go and download everything from free resources. Those are available for you for a limited time only because we keep on putting the new things there. So take full advantage of it. I definitely want you to get your dream role during this Christmas. People are hiring, and there are a lot of job posting. It has spiked up. And those of you who are looking for permanent role as well, I definitely want you to make sure that you can look into the seasonal opportunity as well. There are agencies out there in Canada. They are hiring for the people like you for contract and seasonal work. Also, you know what? You might not know if you're really good at what you do, your role could be permanent as well. when I landed in Canada, I took on seasonal role in banking industry, and that's how I explored the market, and I got hired later on in a banking industry. So don't hesitate to take on those contract, short-term, and seasonal roles, especially in holiday season. Retail needs you, the banking industry, financial industry needs you. I've hired a lot of people during the the holiday season as well, and also I've hired a lot of people going into New Year as well, because we want to make sure that when we're busy during RSP season or a different season, we have training already in the process and they're good to go on a floor as well. So I've been, for those of you who do not know me, I've been in a hiring role. I used to work with the top companies in Canada, and I used to be hiring manager for more than 10 years. And today's I'm going to give you all the nuggets that I've learned personally as a hiring manager from the corporate world. Also, I became a job seeker when I got laid off, and I started to look into those job descriptions, and I took on the role as well into the really top companies, and I decided to resign. It didn't work for me. It was a wrong fit for me. I resigned, and now I teach do's and don'ts to job seekers through my company called Teach and Do. So today I am sharing my experience, and it's all, and you could disagree, you could agree, whatever it is, but this is totally based on my experience. Also, these are based on my client's experience as well. Now, why I came with this topic today, I was interviewed by one of the major news media in Canada, which was Globe and Mail. And we put it together, the red flags, more than 5 red flags to watch out for job descriptions. And those of you, if you want to go into the detail and read my the feature article for Global and Mail on a career sections, you can go ahead and subscribe it, or it's on my feature LinkedIn profile as well. You can go ahead and see more details. I might miss some of it today, but I'd like to go on a detail as well why you need to avoid this. And again, this might not apply to all of you, but it might apply to someone somewhere there. Just share this, and there's an eye opener. And I found it was an eye opener for me personally as a job seeker as well. All right. All right, perfect. So I'm going to start. I just wanted to make sure that LinkedIn is up and running. I don't want to keep on talking here without. Give me like 2 seconds. All right, perfect. Let's go. I'm so excited about this because these are so many things that I personally, even when I became a job seeker, I personally overlooked on it, and why people overlook on it, honestly, to get back to the job market is we are desperate. And I was desperate. I got laid off and I felt like, I'm losing that title. I miss going back to work 9 to 5. And at one point I was like, I'll take anything, you know what I mean? So it gets to us. And I got multiple offers, but I decided to stick in with the same industry. I wanted to be comfortable. I was looking at the work-life balance as well, and I moved as well, right? And there were some red flags, don't get me wrong, and it's completely my fault for overlooking it, not asking the questions. Even though I was in the industry for so much, I assumed that, once I get there, I will just learn everything and I will know, right? And I think that was the biggest mistake, and I regretted not clarifying the expectations. Also, those are the experiences. I'd like to share that with you, what you should look for and what you should ask for during interview to clarify it. So interview process is not only about them hiring you, but you're identifying as well to make sure that you are the right fit for one another, because there's a great resignation going on right now. I don't know if you've heard about it. I was picked up by City News in Canada, Montreal, from my TikTok videos. For those of you who are not on a TikTok, please follow me. City News contacted me from Montreal, and they interviewed me because I put so much out there for a great resignation on TikTok, and they picked my video and they interviewed me. So it's featured on my section as well. Go take a look at it and follow me, because I put a lot of contents out there, short and sweet videos. Sometimes I move and shake, I'm learning. That's something that I've never done it, but I'm just going to try it. I just want to be human. And if you guys see me on TikTok, don't be alarmed, because you know what? We are all human. We like to make fun, right? I'm just trying trying on TikTok. And for those of you who are trying to learn on a different platform, LinkedIn is not only the platform you should be looking for job seekers or from branding perspective, coaches out there as well. Definitely take a risk and it would pay it off. It would pay off because I started on TikTok just last December, and it's been an amazing journey for me. I love it as well. Plus, I love the LinkedIn platform as well. Okay. All right, perfect. So I'm going to begin here. I'm going to go quite quickly. All right, I want you to look at that. What does that mean to you? Can somebody tell me what does that mean to you? I might have typo because I literally typed in everything before I came in. That's why I was late. Read it through and tell me. Read it through and tell me. All right. Oh my God. Hit the ground running. Able to wear multiple hats, quick learner, work under stress. And such a vague job description. Sometimes I've seen the job description, which was like more than 7 pages. I kid you not, I tweeted about it last year. It was one of the, I think, university, and one of my clients wanted to apply for this role, and we're working on it. There were like seven pages, everything drafted. I get it. They have to, right? And I know the long job description does not necessarily mean that it's bad, it's a red flag, but what's in there is something you really have to consider. All right. Now, the job description had one, let's say, communication coordinator or whatever it is, like it was that. That's the role, the title and everything. And it was reporting to directly, there was a skip level line as well. It was reporting, the role was reporting directly to the director level or VP. And that role had like 7 roles altogether, and pay was not that good either. And me and my client decided, you know what, we're not going to pursue with that. So those are the thing, right? Just because the job description is actually more than 7 pages or something like that, that doesn't mean that it would pay you the amount that you're doing the work for. You are probably handling, juggling, multitasking, all those, able to wear multiple hats on that one role, and pay is not even good. So what I want you to think about is, what motivates you? Are you those who survive, who love multitasking? And I think I don't know where I read it. Don't get me wrong, but I heard that multitasking kills your brain. And there's a survey done. I don't know what it is. I'm going to put the link source later on. And they said that anyone who's multitasking, it's not good, because what happens is every time you're multitasking, your brain is shifting away from one environment to the other one, and when you get back, then you have to refocus, and that actually hurts the the productivity. And that was an eye-opener for me, because first I was thinking I'm a great multitasker, and I thought, oh my God, I have this windows up, I am working on this, I'm working on this, and all of a sudden I'm like, I haven't done anything, right? I started to personally realize for myself as well, it's not good for my productivity, right? And if that's you, then I really want you to think it over and take on those roles where you're asked to multitask. One day you're doing this role, and later on you're doing this role, like altogether, mix of it. Generally, that's what it means. Also, the other is hit the ground running, whatever that is. Does that mean that they're not going to provide you training? But if they do provide you training, does that mean that it would be short? It would be like reading the material module for a couple of hours, and they're like, hey, now I want you to go and serve the customer, right? Or I want you to go and get the partners or leads or something like that, right? So is it expected that you are already coming as an expert, which is fine, but it type of roles you're in, right? If you're a consultant, if you're an expert hired externally, I get it that, there's no training required. But again, at the same time, as a consultant, if I go somewhere, if I get hired for my expertise, I still need to know their tools. I still need to understand how they function as a team and stuff like that. So those are the red flag personally for me to watch out. And you need time to learn. You need time to partner with the trainers and mentors. And it depends what kind of mentors do they assign you as well. So I've been in situations where the mentors were brand new. They didn't even know themselves, the clueless one, right? And these mentors were literally, promoted into the leadership role recently. And they're trying to teach me how to coach and everything when they've never formally been provided coaching framework altogether, right? So it depends on what kind of mentors are assigned to you as well. Are they the one who just want you to pick up with the speed and it's like, let's go, 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 go? Are they patient? Because everyone trains differently. So it's your leader who's going to have to match that, the balance between, okay, I don't want any trainer who's going to rush me, right? Like, give me a time to understand, pick it up. And, don't give me self-doubt, because what happens is when the other party is trying to go like, well, it's been 30 minutes, you're not learning. It's been 1 month, you're not learning, and they're impatient. That gives you a self-doubt as well. So these are the questions that you need to strategically ask an interview. I'm gonna move on to the solution to it. Okay. What happens when they're actually putting it through on the job descriptions and you feel like, that might be red flag. And at this point, you're assuming, right? That might not be the environment there, right? So what I want you to do is ask those questions if you're invited for interview or phone screening, saying that, the job description says hit the ground running, and I'm one of those, but can you tell me how do you train people? Who do you partner with? Is it the colleagues? Is it the manager teaching you? Do they have a training department? Is it the module, right? That's your responsibility to ask those questions in there and find out how do you learn matters too, because I learn differently. One size does not fit all, right? And is there an environment where you can go out there and upgrade your skills outside to learn it as well? Do they cover for that courses, right? So you need to go back and ask those questions, because this is something that you're going to work with them. And if you don't verify that initially, then that's when the quitting takes place. That's when you'd be like, I'm not the right fit, and you know what, I'm going to resign, and this is not the job for me, right? In order to protect yourself down in there for job hopping for wrong reason, you want to make sure you nip it in the bud earlier on. Hopefully that makes sense. The other one is work under stress, right? When they're saying work under stress, I want to ask, like, you know what? That's what it said, and I'm very good at it, but could you tell me the example of what's a stress for you, right? So what happens is what's stress for one person might not be stress for you. Maybe it's like, oh, you know what? That's normal for me. I deal with that all the time, versus you've never dealt with it, and, it's really stressful and you're not the right fit for you, right? So you gotta, and I'll tell you this, I work with a company where, I'm very good at handling the stress, but I work with a company where personally I'm dealing with the security and police officer, handling the clients who are losing it, who are bullying and harassing, and I felt like, oh my God, my safety is online, right? So that's not a stress I want to be part of it. So, and had I known that before signing up, then I would have just said, I don't think I'm the right fit for those. You see what I'm saying? For other people, it's normal for them, right? So I am different. They are different. So you got to clarify what stress they're talking about, and if you're the right fit. Hopefully that makes sense. And the other in KPIs. So when they're asking about, work under stress, I want you to ask about, hey, how is the performance being measured? Can you walk me through the framework of coaching? How often you do the coaching? What are the KPIs? Meaning everyone has KPIs in the world that we live in, right? If you cannot measure something, if there's no number, how are people going to be coaching? Coaching is different, but when we have a number as a leader, it's really easy to coach because we're taking the emotion out. We're just putting a data, and data actually is something that we have, so we can coach it. Hey, how do I take your quality score from here to here? I think this is what we need to do together. What are your thoughts on it, right? So if they don't have data and they go like, you know what, we have nothing right now, and you know what, we just coach. I'm like, that's a red flag to me, because personally, I need the data. I need to know what am I working on and what I'm good at, and how you are thinking that I'm good at it. Is it the number? Is it the word? Is it the actions that I'm displaying it? That needs to be measured by data. I personally believe that on KPI. So you need to ask that. and see not all KPIs are important on it, but what is it that you could be measured on, because that could potentially impact your bonus, your raise, and that could impact you for performance management as well. So how are they performing, managing you, right? If they want to fire you, they need the data to fire you. They can't just go, you're the wrong fit, you're not learning quickly, so you're going to be performance managed, because that's, to me, it's BS, because you're not patient, because your training sucks, because you've assigned the wrong mentors to the new people. I am the one who's going to be the one who's going to be performance managed, right? It's not fair, because show me the data where you feel like I'm not doing my work, right? Show me the complaint customers have actually told you about it. She sucks at it, or he sucks at it, right? So you really need to understand the environment in an interview, and that's the whole can of worms you'd be opening later on when you move in. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Other one I'm going to tell you, all right? I know there is a law out there with a discrimination factor. Employers cannot literally ask you for, hey, do you own the car? Do you have a driver's license? Unless your work requires you to travel. You have to travel, meet the clients. It really happens into the roles of sales. It happens with the role of event planning and everything. And usually on the job description, they will tell you that travel required, or driver's license, driver's license. You have to have your own car and stuff like that, right? Now here's the thing, catch on it, okay? So when they are talking about this is something that you're completely okay with it, perfect. But what impacts right now is the work-life balance. So travel requires, what does that mean? Is it after hour? Is it on the job descriptions? Then I want you to ask that. Okay, can you walk me through, like, what is the traveling, arrangement, right? How does that work out? I'm traveling with my own car, then I need some gas mileage to be paid, or obviously I need you to give me the credit card and company credit card and go from it, right? Because what happens is it becomes tricky that if they expect you to use your own personal card, they don't give you the company card. And not everyone has a credit card balance, whatever it is, right? Some people are living off the credit as well. So you got to see, if you're going to be using your own car, give me a mileage or gas money, reimburse me. Also travel, I want you to ask, when do I travel? Normally, when do you travel? What do you recommend? How often do you guys have to travel? After hour, something, right? When it's after hour, you got to think about it. Are you going to be paid, or is it an expectations? Because your paid salary isn't an expectation for you to travel and you're not going to be paid. Because to me, I would want to work there where I'm traveling on my own time, meeting my clients and everything, bringing the leads. And you know what? I want to be compensated if I want to work there, right? So ask those questions strategically. Can you tell me about the after hours? How percentage of the travel time? Sometimes what the company does is, when I was working in one environment where I was expected to travel, and I did not know that the expectation was travel all the time, go and meet the client all the time, bring the business. It was partnering with the companies where I am actually asking them, hey, do you have a vacancy? It's like a recruiting role kind of thing. I did a mix of marketing as well. And the expectation was, it was never clear, but the expectation was, hey, you're actually calling every time, and you're meeting people after hours as well. Good thing about that was they were paying you for after hours and mileage as well. That was great, right? And I loved it. But I did not know that the expectation was they would rather want you to talk all the time, event planning and everything, fully out there, right? I was okay with it, but people might not be okay with it because that was not fully disclosed on the job descriptions, okay? So I want you to be careful with the travel time and see if that's the environment you want to get in. And you know what? When you're traveling, what I realize is, especially every day you're going to work, you're parking, right? And then, in Canada, there's snow. You got to put that in time as well. When you are putting your car in a parking, and when you have to get in and out all the time, parking matters as well. Are you allowed to park on site, or do you have to go and park somewhere else as well, right? Those catches up as well. So that was a huge issue for me. parking like all the way on the other side of building and walking in the snow with the heels on, walking the street, building the relationship on the snow and everything. That was the worst part of that particular job, that I didn't like it. And that's the way it is, right? You gotta think about it if you're the right fit for those. And then training as well. One thing that I really want you to be cautious about is when someone actually gives you the offer of like, hey, we'll train you. Your title would be in training. And I'm going to tell you this, that personally happened to me. So I applied for this role in the top company. And then what happened was the role was not in training at all. So it was a leadership role. I applied, I got it. And what they said to me was, you know what? That I want you to apply for in training. They took out the posting and they said go and apply for this one. This is for training, in training. And I asked what's the difference between the one that I applied and in training? And they came back to me, it's exactly the same. The only thing is because you're externally hired, what we want to do is we want you to train for the skills, which is managing the customer service. So we want you to know the role of customer service for a bit, so ins and out of it, and then it's easier for you to manage. I was like, oh my God, that's great, amazing, I would love that, right? So because as an external hire, when you go to the industry, you want to know the role of people, direct reports, whatever they're doing, you want to know, because it would be easier for you to manage and handle their work as well if the time comes in, right? Super excited about it, went in there, everything was fine and everything. I think what I realized later on was the in training environment worked differently around different offices. So I was transferred from one office to the other ones. Here I am, got trained for that branch, and later on they were like, you know what, we want you to send you to the different branch, right? And my mind is like, okay, I've learned this much, I can transfer from here to here and it should be fine. But at the same time, what happened was, on the initial office, when what was I trained for was, not necessarily for customer service altogether, but it was okay, well, you know what, if that comes in, then you don't have to do this because you're managing, but just know ins and out of it, right? They were really not serious about training me for customer service, because I was hired as a leader from so many years of experience. So then it was that. And then when I was moved on to the different office, it was completely different. The processes were different. The management was different. The stuff that I didn't have to do on the different branch, I was made to do here. And they were looking at me up and up like, you didn't know this? You were there for so many months. And I'm like, well, I didn't have to do it, I was managing. And then the role of customer service, I had to know ins and out. And it was brand new role for me. And in their mind, they're like, what? They didn't teach you this? You don't know this? And I'm like, how often I'm going to say, well, they didn't teach me this, right? So, and it was you were looked at as, okay, well, you should have known this already. And that gives you self-doubt. And when they're not willing to understand that, listen, just because you were moved from one office to the other one, that doesn't mean that I need to know everything, because they do things differently. And it was completely different, the way it was handled differently, right? So that's why I want you to watch out. Are you one of those who are okay with it, that you're going to be moved around for training? Because I tell you what, I thought I was good, but I was like, I hate this job now, because I'm not willing to be new employee every time and learn everything about the customer service role. Because at the end of the day, I'm hired for coaching, not for being used as a backup customer service manager or whatever, right? I don't want to be that. No, nothing against customer service agent at all, but leader's job is to manage and coach and inspire, not to sit there and handle those admin tasks and everything that you could delegate it, right? And I felt the whole coaching was wacko, framework was really bad. And I was like, I'm not the right fit. That works for someone else, don't get me wrong, but I was not the right one. And I think that probably was really a dream role for somebody. And hopefully, people love that job, but I hated it. I was like, I can't take this anymore. You know what? I am done. So I quit by email, right? So again, everyone is different. Do you survive in that environment of moving around where you're not part of one branch? You're moved around, you're filled as a backup. Also, I should have asked, like, hey, can you tell me what's the policy? Like, how do you train people? Like, what are your process document for training the leaders who are hired from outside or training people? Show me. 60 days, like 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 365, right? So I think some type of business, what they do is they want you to learn everything, be stellar and good at everything, but they fail to understand that when you hire someone from outside externally, that person's never going to know ins and out for the role. They've never done it. It's going to take time. The expectation of being a quick learner, I think, is something that leaders and the employers need to get away from. It is, I'm not going to learn the same thing in 30 days just because the other person has learned it, just because you have done that in the past. And I kept on hearing, like, just pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, right? And I'm like, just because you have done that in the past, don't make me hold accountable for something that you screwed up and you were never trained. You see what I'm saying? So you got to be very careful on choosing those roles where you're expected to pick up and run on the fly. That's what we did all the time. You got to do it, you got to be it. If you don't do it, then you're bad, right? That gives you the reason to quit. And if you don't clarify that on a job descriptions, when you see the title itself, that matters, you are going to be in for surprise and it's too late. And that's what happened to me. All right. Oh my God, who is in the house who is over, who feels that ageism? I felt it when I got laid off. It was late 30s. And, yeah, to other people, I was not I was not old, but I felt old. I felt old because the type of industry that I went in was all new leaders, new people, and the whole mentality was different. And I was working in one industry for 12 years with the same bank forever. And then when I got laid off, when I wanted to bounce back, I felt like I was so lost and out of touch from outside world. And actually my job description, when I applied, it had dynamic, like a dynamic in there. I was looking at my job description. I was like, what does even dynamic mean? Is it you're looking for like young people, right? Right? And then the other one was energetic, tech savvy. What does tech savvy mean to them? That matters as well. So are they trying to say, I'm just going to hire new grad, new people, like, nothing who looks old? It's I know that I'm picking those words, but honestly, those matters. I want you to watch out for it. Do you get the sense of belonging? And when you go on an interview, that's a time for you to watch what kind of people and demographic they have. Do you see yourself fitting in there? And if you don't, then probably it's going to be a hard battle for you later on, because these new generation, we have so much to learn. Don't get me wrong. They know so much. And I do have mentors who are younger than me, who are older than me as well. I learn from both of them. And, I'm a middle, right? I'm a millennial. Like, I can't be Gen Z. I cannot be Gen X. So like, I'm right there in the middle. I'm extremely lucky to know from every generations. But what happens is when you go and climb up the ladder later on, it happens is you don't want to step down either. And are you the right fit? Do you want to be consulted instead, right? So I felt that when I went back for an interview, especially within the industry, I wanted to go in there. So demographic matters, and I want you to check their website. The solution for that is website. Take a look at their staff. Are they older looking generations? That matters, because you got a sense of belonging is not only about diversity. Diversity happens when there's an inclusion. If you don't feel that you belong there, probably you don't belong there. Go with the guts feeling. And I personally felt that when I was going back to the workforce, I don't belong in certain sector, because I feel like I came from the leadership role for so many years, and I don't think I would be able to be able to just be open with the new leaders whose thought are not something that I'm up to speed with, right? It took me it took me time to adjust to it, and as a person, I needed to self-reflect as well and be coachable by these younger leaders. And I'm thinking, yeah, you know what? Okay, you know what? My days are done, right? It gives you self-doubt, honestly. So you gotta really remember if you're the right fit. And this one, any Canadian in the house? Any Canadian in the house? I'm going to bring it up. Why? It's really important. Canadian in the house? Type in 3. Type in 3. Have you been rejected because there's no Canadian experience? Type in 4. I'll tell you this. It's a strategy sometimes that people use without saying that I don't want to hire new immigrant or new people who just moved into the Canada. It could be a strategy. It could be not, or it could be the role requirement. There's a difference, okay? I want you to think about it. Does your role require to learn the local market, the tools that you personally have to know within Canada, within country, within even the province? Do you have to know the law and regulations perfectly to actually, work in that environment, right? So there are so many things you need to watch for it before you even go on interview and ask those questions, right? Can you explain what does the local market mean to you? So I'll give you one example of it. I took on the role, which was nonprofit, and I moved from Toronto to Sudbury. So local market knowledge was something that they wanted it. I had no local knowledge market, but I asked questions like, what do you mean by that, right? What do you mean by that? And I was given a test as well. I had to write the test, but good thing that they gave me the option of Googling the market and stuff. I passed, I got hired. But you know what? If you're willing to learn it and there's a training that's provided, and there's a handbook or something, the informations, you're fine with it. But then I want you to ask, are they strategically putting those immigrant newcomer in Canada, assuming that they might not have that knowledge? And are they weeding those people out without saying no Canadian experience? Because no Canadian experience, anyone who rejects you based on no Canadian experience, and if it's not a regulated industry, that's a human right violation right there. If you've been told, please log in, complain, because if they don't require for you to know everything in Canada and it's not regulated industry, you know what? You've been just tossed out by saying you're an immigrant. All right. And I've been an immigrant. My husband was an immigrant. He had a hard time, no Canadian experience. We still go through it. And I help people how to talk and how to identify those cues and everything in my program as well. And it's helped the immigrant bounce back quickly. There's a challenges, I tell you. All right. So make sure you do the homework and see if you're the right fit. And the other key is do you see people like you in the industry? When you walk around, when you go deal with those businesses, when you look at their career pages and website, do you see people like you, right? Because all we need is a sense of belonging. Company can talk about diversity, saying that we hire these people, we're a quota. People with the performance, POC, which is person of color, like us, women, gender, the people of color, immigrants are quotas for companies, right? Are they trying to fill that quota, or do you really feel that they really care about you? They really want to bring you in-house, right? You need to get that feeling because you're going to have that clash. If the executive teams are not aligned with the vision, your manager is not aligned, your manager discriminates you as a woman or a person of color, then you know what, and that's when people are going to quit, and people have quit. My clients have come to me and said, I was mistreated, but I can speak up because it was subtle, I didn't even know, but I know, right? So you gotta see the job description and see do you fit in, and do the research. Oh my God, this is my favorite. I'm going to tell you, this is my favorite. All right, I'll tell you this. As a hiring manager, in the world that the companies in Canada are huge on charity and giving back. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all about charity. I do that on my personal time. I have my own people that I trust, and I actually, help them, right, on my own time. All right. That's me. That's my choice, whatever I believe in. But I may not believe in your cause, company's cause sometime, right? Right. And companies are all about give that time back to the community, right? If you're one of those, and if you are passionate about working after hours and not getting paid for it, going on weekends, planning the event planning, meeting all those people, planting trees on weekends. There are companies out there. They're like, hey, we've planted so many thousands of trees. and they take full credit for it. They're all in media, but then at the end of the day, their staff are the one who's doing it. Poor them, they don't get anything. They're just like, oh, thank you so much for coming on weekend and planting the teas, right? But you know what? We're on media. We did this. We generated this much for this toy drive this year, millions of dollars, but staff did it overnight, working overnight, going places to places, planning this, doing the bake sale, whatever it is. Like, these are all things happening in the world right now in holiday season. I'm not being negative. Hear me out here. Okay, this is fine for people who want to do it, but don't force people into putting those extra hour after the work. If you want to do it, then you know what? Do it on your own time, office time. Why can't you do it? If you want to do it in after hours, then pay them for it somehow. I actually saw the job posting. I'm not going to name the company. I actually saw the job posting. It came out. It says on the job posting saying that volunteering hours are going to be paid. I was like, no way, this company's doing it. It's one of the top company. I was like, they actually said it in job descriptions. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. I would like to be paid for volunteering hours that I've done after hours, or I want to do the volunteering because I do it already, right? So why are you forcing people, right? So you got to be watching for it. If you're not one of those who have time, we all have kids, we all have our things to take care of it, right? And this is what happened. I've done that as a hiring manager. You know what? Knowingly, unknowingly, I might have discriminated it, because I used to bring it up in my, coaching sessions one-to-one. I'm like, there's not enough voluntary hours. I feel like sometimes you kind of feel people who are not pitching for volunteering, they are seen as not a team worker. They don't care. The people who actually put the work-life balance in a priority in a corporate role, they're taken as not a team player. I am honest right now that I've done that. I have had that bias as well, because I was all about working, volunteering, and doing everything after hours. Just I couldn't care less. Now I care. Now I care because of pandemic and everything. Plus, I've quit the corporate world. I would never be able to do that. Right. And as a manager as well, I've talked to people like, hey, do you want to go for volunteering? This weekend, but I didn't have a budget to go and say from my management or company saying that anyone who does the volunteer, you're allowed to give that hours. They can earn that time back. Right. Instead, on my performance review, as part of it, hey, you did the volunteering for this hour, you know what, good job, yay. But did that increase their pay? A little bit, maybe, right? But I didn't have a control over anyone who volunteers left and right would get the raise. You see what I'm saying? You know how they get you. So don't fall for this trap where companies are asking you to volunteer for things that doesn't matter. Here's what I want you to do. If you want to volunteer, take the things within office hours and ask as well during interview, what kind of volunteering are we talking about? I'm huge on giving back. What kind of things you are asking people to do, just out of curiosity, right? Who are you partner with? Normally it's on a website. You can see it as well. Does that, if they're partnering with something that you don't believe in cause, then you probably would not be doing that volunteering. You don't feel good about it, right? So you want to make sure that you ask them, not saying, do I get paid? But strategically asking, how does that impact in performance review? How is that measured, right? Ask them, right? Getting paid, yeah, if you are one of those, yeah. But what about those people who don't want to do the volunteer? Are they being looked at someone who's not a team worker, right? It impacts you. And I've had the situations where the volunteering hours and fundraising were part of it. It was never part of the job description, to be honest. When I went in there, it was like, oh, you're assigned for this. You're assigned for this year. And I'm like, all right, when do I do it? Weekend, your time? And you can't even go during the office hour because now they're busy. I can't leave the office. But you want me to oh, you're concerned about your client, but then you know what, volunteering, I want to go there. You wouldn't let me go because it's office hours. I have to do it in my own time, but I don't get paid for it. Isn't that BS, right? That's how they get you, and they make you feel guilty. The other thing that happens all the time in corporate world is, and it's certain staff vented out to me as well. So when you go on a holiday season, Halloween to Christmas and everything, the staffs are decorating and like, coming in early and decorating and doing all things in the branch and everything, office and everything. And these are the staff, tenure staff. They told me about it. Every year it's the same damn thing. We don't get anything for it. We don't even get the extra hours. And I was like thinking, did you talk to the management? They're like, no, they just rolled eyes. It's an expectation. You come in early before opening the branch. You come in on weekend and do it. And all you get is like, oh, yeah, you know what? You decorated those branch. Good job. But like, no, pay me for it. Right. So you got to understand that, how the company functions. And then, what uses your volunteer hours to make themselves look good everywhere in media and everything. Right. You got to know if you're the right fit for it. If you're going to be measured on it, probably you're not going to be promoted if you don't show up for volunteering. If you don't show up for volunteering for the company every time, I'm sorry, your manager is going to be watching you and saying like, you know what, you're not, like, he's not going to say, or she's not going to say you're not a team player, but eventually it's going to impact you somewhere. Trust me on that. Mark my word on it. Okay. I've done that, right? Strategically as a manager. And you know what? I've been in the situations where you've been watched out, like, how many volunteer hours she's done and stuff like that as well. So it puts the pressure because one of our colleagues keep on going and volunteering every time. And you're the one always saying like, no, I can't commit to it. I can't commit to it. And they keep on coming back. It's never ending battle. So you're not part of that team. Get out. That's all it is. All right. And this is the major one that actually happened to a couple of my clients recently, especially for those people who are on the leadership role. Oh gosh. So whenever you see the job posting, when there's, it might not be true all the cases, but this is where the homework comes in, right? So if you're a manager, you see the job descriptions and the world you come from, the roles in and out, your roles should be reporting to VP or director or senior manager. So anyone who's a manager, normally company like reporting lines should be senior management, and it depends on the role and industry, not directly to the VP or something. There's a red flag out there. And then see the role. Is the role like so much responsibilities where you're literally like, working as a director, but the pay scale is like less? And maybe they're hiring someone, they let go someone who was on that role, and they're trying to eliminate that, reporting line to save the cost. And this happens. I want you to ask those questions. This role reports to this. Was there any senior manager, director? Is there any plan to it? And, or maybe you're interim where you're filling it up and they're saying, I've seen that happen personally to me and everywhere, where I was doing the role of senior management, and like, there's a work of like, work pending, and they're going to be hiring someone, but when, right? It matters as well. So I want you to really ask those questions. What are the plans, or has it been like, what happened to the role before, right? Not only that, and if you're interviewing and if you feel like there's a red flag, I definitely want you to reach out and then have those information interview at the past employee. There's a section on LinkedIn. You can search on a filter and then look at, like, click on past companies with the name that you've just gotten an interview, and then go and reach out to the people. Hey, what's the story on this company? You don't have to tell them you're being interviewed. Like, I would love to know some insights, right? People who leave the company are someone like, normally they're not happy, or, if they're happy, why did they leave, right? Maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe, you never know, right? Reach out to those people who've left and understand the environment, not the environment of the company. I want you to reach out with the environment of that particular department. Just because one department is good, that does not mean that the other department would be same. The culture changes from one department to the other department. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Anything else? I'm going to check my comments here. Let's see. Yeah, that's so true. It is really important for recruiters to write job description clearly, because they write like a revision that only, yeah, that's so true. Thanks for watching, Nisha. I'll tell you what about Jorav. Yeah, thank you for saying that, because I'm going to tell you this. I wrote one job descriptions in a world, And it was all team structuring and everything like that. And I was like, hey, can you write the job description for new, like, new people now? We have just revandal everything, we've restructured it. I wrote it, and I was in limbo. I don't think I got any training. So I was like, okay, which is good because they believed in me so much that I was like, owning that. And I did it with my manager, who was very supportive at the time, who was director. And me and him, we crafted like, the job descriptions. And I think the only miss was when I was trying to hire people, the title, it was nothing like it. It was a combination. It was customized role for for my staff, my department. And when I hired, it was all wrong people applying, and a lot of people didn't even understand the job description. So, and I had a hard time actually finding the role later on, because my role was 2-part, and it was not like, and it was not like easy for me to actually get the right match. And that's why job descriptions and job title are so important, because sometimes company customizes it. It's a fancy title they have, and it's so hard when you get out. It doesn't matter when you're there. When you get out, it's so obvious that, what, that's not a title that I'm a fit for. But the role, and you probably are missing 20% of the role requirement, but the title itself is like, what the hell was that title? So, and even the job descriptions, and I want you to leave with this, is there's a loophole on the job description, which is, I don't know if you've noticed this. Tell me if you've noticed in each and every job out there. Give me number 6 in there. Have you seen in each and every job saying duties as assigned? Please tell me, give me 6. That's there for a reason. And I've used that, right? As a manager, especially in a corporate world, and unionized works differently because they're very picky on assigning the new task, new role, because, there's agreement, they can't do that. But corporate world gets away with it. Anytime you see duties as assigned, your colleagues walked out, you're the one now take the world, you're not going to be paid. Your manager was fired, you're going to take that role, but you're not going to be paid. Duties as assigned. Now, the people, what I hate, the other one is they bump you up with the title. You're doing the role of senior management, and your promotion, like, it's a promoted role, but it's a lateral move. They don't pay you a penny, but they're like brainwashing you, but you get to learn so much. I want you to be very careful. And we're moving into the internal promotion rule too. Ask for those. Like, listen, pay me more. I did this. I did that, actually. I negotiated. So they came back, and I had to, like, I don't think it was done. Obviously, it was a norm all the time. Like, moving people, giving the very good title and more responsibility, but not paying them. I think that was a norm. And then my new manager was amazing director, and then I talked and I said, listen, like, this role is quite different. Why am I not getting paid higher? Right. And they came back, and no question asked, I made the valid agreement, and like, they were like, okay, here's the money. You got to stand up for yourself. Don't fall for the lateral move. And I think that's a bullshit. Sorry. Okay. That's right. I mean, like, have that in CV, also having, okay, don't even get me started with the ATS, right? Like, a lot of people talk about ATS. I'm a fan of it, like, and, I teach all those, like, techniques and everything in my resume writing classes. But honestly, stop fearing ATS, because as a manager, I pull the ATS, people from ATS, I've, like, gotten so many referrals and everything as well, right? At the end of the day, honestly, I don't care about the keyword right now. I want to know someone who actually can do the job. If you're qualified, you should know how to write the resume properly, but don't worry about hacking the ATS, whatever it is. If you know you're the right fit, know how to properly communicate on resume. And yeah, keyword could factor in as well. On certain ATS, where ATS like Talio, that actually would score you higher the more keywords you have. And smart recruiters have figured it out. They go and look at each and every applications. In fact, the companies would have SLA and mandate requirement for recruiters to make sure that they actually go and check all those resumes, right? Any recruiters who are just using the Boolean search, sometimes they can pull your profile by, like, typing those keywords you're referring to, Boolean, like experience and date and all those things. That's when you're probably going to be missed out on it if they're just using that. And that's why there's a strategy. I teach all of that in my resume writing courses, and people have gotten multiple offers just by applying online. There's nothing wrong with applying online. My clients have gotten great results by just applying online. And how they've done it is because they know what kind of role they want, and they will stick to it. Don't shoot the shot. Don't shoot the shots. That makes sense? All right. I think with that being said, I want you to leave with, if you're newcomers to Canada, dealing with the no Canadian experience, and you've been rejected, and you know that you can do the job, and you're really qualified, and you're not even getting single interviews. Also, when you go on interviews and you're not getting hired, there's something missing on it, and you can chat and see what's going on, and maybe we're the right fit. I can help you bounce back. Don't stop networking during holidays. People are hiring, and it all depends on the industry. Also, if you're laid off, I'm sorry, I've been there. I know what it feels like. You know what? You've lost the title, not your brain. Carry that skills and you'll be fine, but use the strategy. And if you're using that ageism, I'm too old to get back, you know what? There's something to reflect. It's a mindset, maybe something you're doing it, you're feeling it. I can help you bounce back as well. I've helped a lot of clients. Take a look at my testimonials and recommendation as well. And I don't work with everybody. I work with someone who are coachable, who are teachable, and we can partner great, and I can help you bounce back. With that being said, please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to see me every time. You can get the notifications. Also subscribe to my newsletter as well, which is on our Teach and Do. I'm also going to write the newsletter for LinkedIn. Keep an eye on it. Follow me for career tips, job search tips in Canada. I thank you so much for watching me today. It means a lot that you stuck around, and pass this on to those people who might need this, what to watch for. All right. You take care. Have yourself a fantastic day. Bye-bye.